Hello gamers. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to explain you must play top 5 video games. So don't have to wait, let's start. Subscribe my channel. Number 1. Far Cry 3. Far Cry 3 is an open-world first-person shooter that was developed by Ubisoft Montreal and published by Ubisoft. It was released on November 29, 2012 for Australia, November 30, 2012 for the Republic of Ireland and Europe, and December 2, 2012 for North America, December 4 in Canada for PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Microsoft Windows. A new edition of Far Cry 3 titled Far Cry 3 Classic Edition was released for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on June 26, 2018. It is the third main title in the Far Cry series, and its story takes place some time after the events of Far Cry 2. Despite this, the game is not a direct sequel to it or the original Far Cry. Far Cry 3 is set on a tropical Asian Pacific archipelago called the Rook Islands. The game's protagonist is a young American man named Jason Brody who is trying to save his imprisoned friends and escape the hostile islands after a vacation gone wrong. He gets involved with the Rakyat, the native people of the island, and in return for their assistance, sets out to help them reclaim the island from Vas Montenegro's pirate and Hoyt Volker's privateer invaders. The game also features a competitive multiplayer mode, a map designer for multiplayer, and for the first time in a Far Cry game, a 2 to 4 player cooperative campaign. Number 2. Max Payne 3. Max Payne 3 is a third-person shooter video game, the third title in the Max Payne series. The game was released on May 15, 2012 in North America and on May 18 in Europe. It was developed primarily by Rockstar Vancouver and was published by Rockstar Games for the PC, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. The game follows the life of protagonist Max Payne 9 years after the events of the end of the previous game, as he works as a bodyguard for the wealthy Rodrigo Branco and his family, alongside his friend and fellow ex-detective, Raul Passus. The game's plot was written by Dan Houser, co-creator and writer of Rockstar's GTA series, Red Dead Redemption, and Bully. Max Payne 3 received critical acclaim upon its release, holding 87/100 on Metacritic and Gamer rankings, with various reviewers praise the game for its dark story, improved visuals and gameplay, and the new multiplayer mode introduced in the game. Number 3. Call of Duty Black Ops 1. Call of Duty Black Ops is the seventh main Call of Duty game, the third main game of the series developed by Treyarch and the sequel to Call of Duty World at War. The game was published by Activision and for PC, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and the Nintendo Wii. Officially announced on April 30, 2010, the game was released on November 9, 2010. Call of Duty Black Ops differs from most previous installments, which would involve a usual 3-country campaign, while Call of Duty Black Ops features 2 playable countries, Russia and the USA, but only has an American campaign. Players play from the perspective of Captain Alex Mason of the MACV SOG, Jason Hudson of the CIA, and Russian-born soldier Viktor Reznov of the Red Army. The game also introduced several new features, such as dive to prone and the available use of a flashlight on certain weapons. Furthermore, the campaign's playable characters now speak while being controlled by the player, a first for the entire Call of Duty series as a whole. Number 4. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is an action role-playing game developed and published by Polish developer CD Projekt Red and is based on the Witcher series of fantasy novels written by Andrzej Sapkowski. It is the sequel to the 2011 game The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings and the third main installment in the Witcher video game series, played in an open world with a third-person perspective. The game takes place in a fictional fantasy world based on Slavonic mythology. Players control Geralt of Rivia, a monster slayer for hire known as a Witcher, and search for his adopted daughter, who is on the run from the otherworldly Wild Hunt. Players battle the game's many dangers with weapons and magic, interact with non-player characters, and complete quests to acquire experience points and gold, which are used to increase Geralt's abilities and purchase equipment. The game's story has 3 possible endings, determined by the player's choices at key points in the narrative. Development began in 2011 and lasted for 3.5 years. Central and Northern European cultures formed the basis of the game's world. Reed Engine 3 enabled the developer to create a complex story without compromising the game's open world. The music was primarily composed by Marcin Przybyłowicz and performed by the Brandenburg State Orchestra. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was released for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One in May 2015, with a Nintendo Switch version released in October 2019, and PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X versions planned for release in 2021. The game received critical acclaim, with praise for its gameplay, narrative, world design, combat, and visuals, although it received minor criticism due to technical issues. It received numerous Game of the Year awards and has been cited as one of the best video games ever made. 2 expansions were also released to critical acclaim: Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine. A Game of the Year edition was released in August 2016, with the base game, expansions, and all downloadable content. The game shipped over 30 million copies, making it one of the best-selling video games of all time. Number 5. Evil Within. The Evil Within is a third-person survival horror video game developed by Tango Gameworks and published by Bethesda Softworks. The game was directed by Resident Evil series creator Shinji Mikami and was released worldwide in October 2014 for PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Windows, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. The game centers on protagonist Sebastian Castellanos as he is pulled through a distorted world full of nightmarish locations and horrid creatures. Played in a third-person perspective, players battle disfigured nightmare-like enemies, including bosses, using guns and melee weapons, and progress through the levels, avoiding traps, using stealth, and finding collectibles. The Evil Within received a generally positive reception upon release. Praise was mostly directed at the game's horror elements and atmosphere, while criticism was directed at the game's story, characters and technical issues. A sequel, The Evil Within 2, was released on October 13, 2017. Okay gamers, that's it. I will come with another video. Subscribe my channel. What your ideas, write down below in comment box, let me know, and thanks for watching my videos.